and welcome to Good Deeds, the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds. This is a quarterly update where we will give you information that really focuses on the quarter, but then we'll give you some additional information. And I don't give out that information, but my guest, Bill O'Donnell, the Registrar of Deeds for Norfolk County, does. So welcome, Bill.
Well, Mark, great to see you. I know we did the first quarter stats and way back in the first quarter, which is January through March, and things were, a little down. It was the winter months, and but it's great to see you, and thanks to Quincy Access Television and all associated with it to give information about real estate, give information about protecting your home, and some statistics that are going on, not only just here in Quincy, but in the county. And we looked at 6 months. We looked at January 1st to June 30th, and the total documents recorded were down both countywide and in Quincy. For instance, total documents recorded countywide in 2018 were 37,314, and countywide in 2019, 37,019, which was down 1%. And again, the good news, some stats are down, some stats are up, but in the second quarter, Quincy was up 3%. So if you looked at total document volume, they were up 3%, whereas countywide down 1%. So Quincy has sort of been bucking the trend. And when you look at deeds that were recorded, again, down over the 6-month period, January 1st to June 30th, there were 8,504 recorded in 2018 versus 8,292. That's only 212 or minus 2%. And in Quincy, total deeds, a deed is a sale, a transaction that took place where there was a changing of property. In Quincy, again, for that 6-month period, 610. In 2018, 580 in 2019, or down 5%. But if you looked at the deeds, again, the deeds for the second quarter in Quincy were relatively, it was a 0%. So the second quarter of 2018, which is April 1st to June 30th, we've had the same activity quarter to quarter, and countywide only a 1% change. For the quarter, there was 4,979 deeds recorded in 2018 versus 4,918, or down 1%. So I think what it's showing is that when you hear down, you got to remember these 3 months of April, May, and June are making up for what's traditionally down months anyway, because of the winter and the holidays, the hangover from the holidays, I guess, January, February, and March. So.
Yeah, because we should mention that it wasn't an extremely challenging winter by any means.
No, it's just I think, and again, talking to brokers, they were hoping, that there would be a stronger spring because people just don't really get out looking for properties in the winter months, and also. There are challenges too. The prices for first-time home buyers are still significant. I'm being told by the brokers there's more inventory. In other words, there's more things to be sold, but it's a pretty big, big ticket item, and it's a struggle when you're looking at the prices, especially around Norfolk County and here in Quincy. In mortgages are when you borrow money. There was less borrowings as well. For the 6-month period last year, there was 11,981. During the 6-month period from January 1st to June 30th of this year, there was 11,640 borrowings or mortgages. That was down 341, or down 3% countywide. And in Quincy, for that same 6-month period, the mortgages were 1,227 in 2018, 1,164 in 2018, or down 63, or down 5%. But the good news, when you look at the second quarter, the mortgages in Quincy in that second quarter in 2018 was 668. There's 713 in 2019, or that was a 7% increase. And in countywide, for the second quarter, the borrowings, there was 6,826 in 2018. The second quarter of 2019, again, April 1st to June 30th, 7,108, and that's up 282, or up 4%. So there was more borrowings. Some people would say the interest rates kind of stabilized. There were thoughts that there might be increases, but it actually, you have a competitive interest rate environment, and that probably caused people to maybe look at refinancing, depending if their kids are in college, or using the money to fix up their house, or borrowing monies to pay for a new house. So it's down over the 6-month period, but you could see that the 3-month period was busy, and we could see it at the registry, and we see it talking to the brokers that they expected May and June to really get going, because it wasn't very busy in March, although some of them had hoped to, and it really did. I always have to plug Quincy Access Television, because if you look at homesteads, in Quincy, 523 were recorded in 2018 versus 573 in 2019, so plus 50. That's a 10% increase. So, and similarly, for a 6-month period, the homesteads countywide were up 1%. So Quincy exceeded the county average. So I think shows like this, or we do outreach. We were lucky enough to use Quincy City Hall. The mayor, Koch, was great, and his staff allowing us to use City Hall. And we do that in all the communities, 28 communities in Norfolk County. The word gets out there, but I know Quincy Access Television here in Quincy gets the word out that you really should consider getting a homestead filed. And a homestead is a document, I know we repeat ourselves, but
it's worth repeating.
It's worth repeating, because for most of us, the biggest asset we have are our homes, and you want to protect that asset, protect that home. Your state legislators have written in a statute, it's called the Homestead Act, which allows you to declare in a state a homestead, which protects your home against a forced sale. It doesn't protect against certain things. Banks can still foreclose if you don't pay, or if you don't pay your taxes, the city or town can take your property by tax title. But it does put a picket fence around your home on some other troubling things, so that they can't force the sale of your home. And it's well worth doing. The filing fee is relatively modest. It's $35, and the land court $36 on the recorded land side of the registry, and it's just worth considering. So I think it was worth noting that over the 6-month period, notwithstanding that document volumes may be down, homesteads here in Quincy were up 10%, which is a good thing.
We should note that there was some full-page graphics that were on the screen that really focused on the real estate activity from April 1st through June 30th. It dealt with the average sale price, total sale volume, and lending activity. And you could see
some of the indications are on things like that. And again, on the average sale price, I always point out it kind of combines commercial and residential, right, and sometimes skews. But clearly a lot's still driven by the inventory, but clearly talking to the brokers, real estate brokers, and lawyers that come through the registry that are doing the closings, there does seem to be more inventory on, but there's still a lot of desirable communities here in Norfolk County where it's still very competitive. I hear stories, whether it's here in Quincy or out in Dedham or Needham, young people trying to get a house and they're getting outbid. So even though inventories are growing a little bit, there still seems to be a shortage, relative to demand.
Well, we should mention that the economy is doing well, so certainly people are more apt to spend when in a good economy.
Yes, I mean, if you feel comfortable with your job, of course you feel that confidence. I think sometimes when you look at the sales figures and maybe the percentages are down, people who might want to upgrade are still looking at it. Well, that's a a big tick. I might get a lot of money to sell my house, but now I'm spending a lot of money to upgrade and more debt, and people got to take a hard look at it. But clearly, when you're confident in your job, that makes it a little easier. I always point out, here in Quincy, you have people that have jobs and are confident, but there's always people struggling with foreclosure. And we've partnered up with the Quincy Community Action Program, as well as there's a new name we're going to give out, and it's been updated on our website. It's called NeighborWorks Housing Solutions. It's a newly created corporation, but your old NeighborWorks of Southern Massachusetts, that had a presence here in Quincy, they merged with Housing Solutions for Southeastern Massachusetts. So there was a merger of the two groups. So they're now known as NeighborWorks Housing Solutions. And what I like about them, if you're struggling with foreclosure, these people give you, counseling and guidance through the process. They're nonprofit. And I think they do a great service, not only here in Quincy, but around the county. And I do want to point out, as far as yearly stats, the 6 months, there were 116 foreclosure deeds in 2018 countywide versus 63 from January 1st to June 30th countywide. So, that's a good sign. It's a decrease of 53 or down 46%. And in Quincy, the foreclosure deeds for the 6-month period were 12 in 2018 to 7. So again, that's it's trending in a direction going down. And a foreclosure deed is a deed that gets recorded after the foreclosure process. I always point out that at the registry, we just take the documents. We see what they call a notice to foreclose, which they are required by law to file at the registry when they file suit. So when the bank, the mortgage company is foreclosing, they have to file a notice, a foreclosure notice. And sometimes people who are facing challenges, whether it's job or medical, spin their way out of it or get advice from good groups like Quincy Community Action Program or NeighborWorks Housing Solutions, and they stay in their house and they avoid the foreclosure. We don't know until a foreclosure deed gets recorded, but we have been tracking the notices to foreclose. And in 2019, over the first 6 months, there was 213 in 2019, as opposed to 362 in 2018. That's countywide, so down 41%. And in Quincy, there were 25 notices, again, for that 6-month period in 2019 versus 32, so down 21%. And the second quarter kind of, bears the same thing. The second quarter in Quincy, there was 13 in 2019 versus 19 in 2018, or down 31%. And countywide, quarterly, there were 119 in 2019 for that second quarter, April 1st to June 30th, versus 194 for that same 3-month period in 2018, or down 38%. So what I like to see is that the notices, the last few times I've come here, and again for the second quarter, and looking over the 6-month period, are trending downward, and that's a good sign. You hate to see people, get foreclosed on, that get thrown out of a house, and because of a job situation or a crisis, and with some person getting sick in their family. So, but. Again, the reason I bring the statistics up is, even if one person is getting a notice to foreclose, go to those nonprofit groups that we've mentioned, Quincy Community Action Program and NeighborWorks Housing Solutions, because they can give you some guidance through the process. They can also give you some financial education. And also check our website at www.norfolkdeeds.org, because there are links to the Attorney General's office, also has some programming that people who are struggling with foreclosure might want to take advantage of.
Something called the CARD program?
Yes. And again, the Attorney General's office, contact them. The more opportunities, the more places you can go for help, the more you people out there that are listening to the show can educate themselves if they're facing foreclosure, the better. So that's why if you go to our website, we have links to these organizations, or you can contact them directly, including the Attorney General's office.
And that number that you had just mentioned, it would direct you to the Attorney General Consumer Advocacy and Response Division. Card.
Yes. So they part of what they deal with is the foreclosure in the aspects of foreclosure. But what I like about Quincy Community Action Program and Neighbor Works is they're here.
It's local.
It's local, and I like that. The feedback we get is they have hard conversations with people. It's not just keeping people in to keep people in. They also help people transition to rental or other situations if it's not going the way that you hoped. And I also think there's an educational component, which sometimes people need that financial literacy or those educational programs to learn how to manage their credit cards and manage incomes and things like that. So that's what I like about the two nonprofit local groups.
We always talk during these programs about mortgage discharges. Explain the importance of a mortgage discharge.
Yes, one of the component document volumes that when we were just talking statistics is when you borrow money, there are mortgages get recorded. That way the bank makes sure that they get paid off. Well, when you pay them off, or when the consumer pays them off, I got to say the local community banks, and you got Colonial here in Quincy, they make sure the discharge either gets to the consumer, make sure that people are aware that you got to get it to the registry to get recorded. In the past, especially some of the bigger banks, but now they've gotten more responsive to making sure, and again, some of it was a lawsuit filed by the prior Attorney General, some of it has been the statutory obligations, and again, thank you local legislators for putting things in the statutes that put some teeth into the fact that, hey, as a lender, you have to make sure that people are, these discharges, you can't just take the money and forget about it, which has sort of been kind of the practice of some of those bigger banks, especially in 2008, 2009. So the bottom line is a discharge is a 1 or 2 page document that gets recorded at the registry that tells the world that mortgage has been paid off. Because a lot of times that when we have office hours, people come in and they say, hey, I'm trying to sell my house, and they say I need a discharge, and what I paid that off, sometimes it's as easy as going to that good local community bank like Colonial, or around the county there's a lot of great cooperative banks. You go in and you can get that discharge and just get it to the registry, or come by our office hours and we can take it back to the registry for you. We have a document on our website called Where Has My Bank Gone? Because some banks, I always point out, have merged. Some banks in the 1990s went out of business. And that document, Where Has My Bank Gone?, gives federal and state contact information. There's also links to the FDIC, which helps you, investigate where your bank has gone. Who is your bank? Who's holding that old mortgage you had? And then you can track it down. And it's not an insurmountable problem, but sometimes, especially, if you're not dealing with a local bank, I think sometimes the hardest thing is to get someone there to help you, to get a point person in that institution to provide good customer service and get you that discharge. And again, I think it's well worth people to check. You could call our customer service center at the Norfolk Registry of Deeds at 781-461-6101, and they can look up your mortgages and see what's been discharged at the registry, what mortgage discharges have gotten recorded. And we're finding when we do office hours, more and more people, because of shows like this show in Quincy Access Television, letting people know about discharges, we have more and more people walking in, whether it's office hours in Quincy or around the communities, saying, hey, can you just check on my mortgages? Which include equity lines. People forget equity lines of mortgages.
Sure.
And it just gives them an idea. They know what's been paid off, but they know they have homework if the discharge isn't there. I paid that off 10 years ago. You know, how come I got some work to do? We're trying to make it easier for people, and I want to applaud Senator Keenan. Senator Keenan sponsored Senate Bill 960, and on the House side, it's House Bill 1413, which Representative Bruce Ayers and Representative Dan Hunt are sponsors, and we have over 44 sponsors. But Senator Keenan is the lead sponsor on the Senate side of an assignment bill, which is being written to require when mortgages get assigned that the assignments get recorded. They have to do it on the land court side, which is 20% of the land in Norfolk County, but lenders don't have to do it on the recorded land side. And the reason why I mention that is, you know, sometimes when people are looking for mortgage discharges, they're like, well, wait a minute, I know who I was paying. And I called them up, and they're like, hey, we just took the money. You know, that we're not the entity that held your mortgage. And I think it does a disservice to the consumers to not require that those assignments get recorded, because now in the era of internet, you can go on our website, www.norfolkdeeds.org, and look up your information. And so if those assignments got recorded, most people are computer savvy, and they can look up their information and say, oh yeah, so that, you know, I need a discharge. Look, there's all the assignments, and you go to the last one, and that's the person theoretically that I paid last. Let me start with them to try to get my discharge. Again, if you're not computer savvy, that's why we started a customer service center at 781-461-6101, where you can call up our folks and look up this information.
I do want to mention that you do hold computer seminars.
Yes, we do. You know, in full disclosure, we didn't do one this spring because our building, and you're more than welcome to come by, 649 High Street in Dedham. That's where the registry's located. We're located across from the Gold Dome Superior Court. The building was built in 1903. And it's been an ongoing process. It started years ago, you know, new windows, new roof, new facade, but the final construction was because there was a storm in 2015, those bad winter storms, a lot of damage to the inside of the registry, and so we've been in a sort of a construction period from 2018 into 2019, and now we have a final punch list. So we really, in good conscience, couldn't have had a seminar this spring.
But they will come
when
back.
you have a construction. Oh yeah, they're going to come back. And again, check our website, www.norfolkdeeds.org. We usually have a computer seminar in the spring and in the fall, and we will. But the building was was a construction pit, so we couldn't do it. And we also have opened it up. We've opened it up. You know, these these sort of educational seminars to government employees. We did one specifically geared to like government staff. We had people from assessing offices to treasurer's offices to police officers showing up who use it to, you know, prepare their search warrants and who owns the property and things like that. So yes, we've targeted groups, and even the Norfolk County Bar Association, which is made up of attorneys, we had a seminar geared for them that they opened up to their membership. So we did have some seminars, but you know, we had to be careful with the construction. But we checked the website because it is a good way to educate yourself on how to use the computers. And you can go to our website. We have some of it on the website, but it's also good to get that hands-on. But because by the end of the computer seminar, people will look up their own information, you know, and check it out. You know, they may not be able to do a legal title search, but they can do enough to check on their own information.
So what else has been going on? You just finished a project at the registry, correct?
Yeah, well, we finished the registry construction project, which is great. 1903 building. I think it's great that there's been a commitment to preserve a historic building and keep it up and running and modernized, but also preserve the historical aspect to it. And I took a lot of notes watching what Mayor Koch and the city council did with their beautiful city council chambers. So we tried to incorporate some of that to kind of preserve the history. So that project's done, and to tie into it at some point, we probably have some type of dedication, but we were very proud to have a 225th celebration in 2018, and we did a book, a Notable Land Records book, and we've gotten so much good feedback. We're actually trying to do a volume 2 that will tie into the rededication when we have a rededication ceremony.
Well, you'll keep us posted.
Yes, we'll keep you posted, but the Notable Land Records, there's a lot of great history in Norfolk County, and we try to pick someone from each town, or, of course, everyone knows, again, we're approaching July. July, we got the birthday of the local president. Here, 4 presidents were born here in Norfolk County, so a lot of great history. So we're working on a volume 2, and hope it was a labor of love, great feedback. So we're going to be doing finishing up that.
It helps probably that you are a history buff.
Well, I enjoy the history,
and there's a lot of people that do.
Oh, and
I'm appreciating it more as I get older.
But I always bring up the deed. John Adams deeded some land to the town of Quincy, not the city of Quincy, and he wanted the school built. But he wrote about John Hancock. He's saying, just what a great patriot John Hancock is. So you kind of, here's a president, outlining what a great patriot this John Hancock was, and how the America should be indebted to him. At other levels in that same deed, he espouses an educational philosophy that people should know Greek and Latin. So it's not just a number as we associate. Oh, how much did the house cost? Back then, there was a lot of things written into the deeds, that are interesting reading and interesting history. And I have to applaud. We finished our transcription project in time for the 225th. But if you go online, those old deeds and documents, which were handwritten from 1793 when the county was founded to 1900, you can hit a button and the typed version of those deeds will come out. So we see more and more people using it, not only for historical research, but genealogical research, or they just want to know who was in their home. So we're trying to make history come alive, at the registry through that transcription project. So the documents are a lot easier to read. So history can come alive if you can actually read the documents, as opposed to really trying to decipher the handwritten Scrivener documents that are the legal records, but you can hit a button to get a typed version of those documents.
Very good. As we close this program, anything that you would like to highlight that hasn't been highlighted?
No, I mean, again, I know we did it for spring cleaning, but if it's like my house, I should be cleaning it out all the time. We still collect suits for success. It goes to Father Bill's place in Mainspring. It goes to Interfaith Social Services. We've partnered up with the Veterans Administration. In fact, tomorrow I'm dropping off not just suits, but women clothes, anything that can be used. And we partnered up with Inner City Weightlifting, which is a group of younger people that are actually, you need the clothes. So we have groups that will benefit from you cleaning out your closet, and if you want to get rid of and donate and pass it on and pass that favor on, good karma, drop it by the registry.
And there is a New Life Furniture Bank as well.
Yes, again, tying into what we do at the registry, One's Home, that's a group that is centered out of Medfield and Walpole. But a lot of things that we take for granted. We at the registry take towels and comforters. If you want to go directly to them, you can donate the big furniture, the beds, and there are people that don't have money for beds. And what that group does, it's driven. It's referral driven by social service agencies here in Massachusetts, by churches and synagogues, and it allows people to get some items that all of us probably take for granted in our homes. So.
Good. That's a good note to end on. Thank you for joining me today, and in fact, in turn, and notifying the folks about what the registry does and services that are provided by the registry.
Well, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure being here, and everyone enjoy the summer.
Yes, you too.
Yeah.
Thank you at home for watching. You have been watching a program of Quincy Access Television. Please continue to watch QATV for more locally produced programming.